So really what we're doing when we're setting a goal is we're tapping into the law of manifestation, or the law of attraction, rather. But what we don't understand is the law that comes before the law of attraction is the law of vibration.
Hello and welcome back, my fellow Igniters. I've got a great show for you today. I have been excited ever since the first day I met this woman. This is AnnMarie McKinsey. She is a soulful business strategist and professional numerologist. And I'm telling you something, there's people that you meet in your life that within about 10 to 15, 20 minutes, maybe tops, that you just know there's something special about them. And AnnMarie was like that for me. I met her. I was at a friend's house working on plumbing. I went out to the car to have a meeting with her, and I'm covered in sweat, and I get on, and we just clicked. I think we clicked. I hope that she felt the same way. And I've been excited to have her on this show, on the Ignition Path. I'm so glad that you tuned in today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching this and you hear something that one of your friends or somebody you know should hear this message, don't forget to share that with them. So once again, this is AnnMarie McKinsey. I'm going to go ahead and introduce her to you and have her introduce herself to my atmosphere here, and she'll tell us all about what she does. Go ahead, AnnMarie, tell us all about yourself.
Kyle, thank you so much for having me. I do agree. We had a connection. We ended up talking for 2 hours when we first met, didn't we?
Hours.
It just flowed. And our connection, just for reference.
Yeah, that was a 15-minute. That was a 15-minute appointment, by the way.
Yeah.
And we talked for 2 hours. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, it all started, though. Remember, there was a Facebook group, and he posted, right. I commented, and I was like, who is this guy? And I clicked on his link to his Facebook page, and I saw that he had stormtroopers in his photo. And I was like, he's a Star Wars fan. We are going to get along. I have Yoda on my desk all the time. Yes, Yoda is a part of my spiritual support team. So we connected over Star Wars. That's really where it all, that's where it all started. So
Jedi Knight you are.
Yeah. So again, just honored to be here and grateful to connect with your audience. So as Kyle said, I'm a soulful business strategist and a professional numerologist. I'm also a psychic spiritual teacher. I haven't always claimed all of these things. I haven't always been all of these things. But I did start this business as a side hustle in 2014, and it has grown and evolved in so many different ways. And through numerology and understanding my energetic code, I've just been able to really adopt, own, anchor into my unique gifts and who it is that I am here to serve, and the spiritual assignments that I have in this lifetime, and all the medicine that I am here to bring to my soulmate clients.
That's fantastic. So one thing that you said in there, you said that so 2014 is when you started this business or started doing it as a side hustle. What did you do prior? Like
everything. I've always
with the Ignition Path podcast, the word path is, we name it for a reason. So Ignition, I want to ignite entrepreneurs to get motivated through other people's stories, through my story. I have a great, Ignition Path process myself of my entrepreneurship. But when it comes to other people, what was your path? So like when you did other things, were you like a licensed social worker? Did you have that? I'm a paramedic. I was a respiratory therapist, and here I am, promoting podcasts for people to share their message.
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I had a little business when I was a kid. I left home when I was 16. I had a side business in order to pay the bills. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and I've just always had that. Now, I haven't always been an entrepreneur. I've gone back and forth. I've had a variety of different businesses, and I've had a variety of different jobs. My background is in leadership and facilitation, and I've done things from personal training and raft guiding to social work to I've been an adventure tour guide. I've ran many different nonprofits. I have been a business consultant and strategist in a variety of different services primarily for youth. I worked with youth on and off for about 20 years. So I did.
Okay.
It's funny that you use that as an example. You know, was it social work? I'm like, yes, I was in social services for quite some time.
It's like I know the system a little bit. No,
Yeah.
being from healthcare, so.
And I've had a variety of different businesses that I've enjoyed. One of them was in education. I've had a business in health and wellness, in beauty. And this one is what I really love, what I'm really passionate about. It kind of combines everything that I've done. My entire career is melded into this. And there was a catalyst for this change. I lost my mother to cancer in 2014, and it was very quick and sudden and such a beautiful gift, also very tragic at the same time and traumatic. And it caused me to reflect and look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, am I living my best life? Am I doing what it is that I came here to do? Am I really fully expressing my gifts and my talents? And am I showing up in the world in a way that, you know, when my time comes, that I can say I have no regrets and I did it all and I went all in. And at the time I was working for a nonprofit. It was extremely toxic. It was very negative. There was bullying. There was harassment. I've always been somebody who leads the way. I call myself like that first penguin. There's always that first penguin that jumps in the water and is like, don't come in, everybody. There's sharks in here, or it's safe to come in. Everybody come in and have a bite to eat. And that ruffles feathers when you work for other organizations, because I've always been this trendsetter. I've always been this person that can see how to do things differently and how to amplify and expand something and how to grow and scale something. And I've frequently not been on the same level when I've had a job in corporations as the other people that I was working for. And they're created this like unnecessary competition. Rather than helping me rise, they would suppress me and my gifts and often steal my ideas and take credit for them. And honestly, I just got sick and tired of it. I thought, why am I continuously building somebody else's business instead of doing it for myself? Why am I constantly paddling upstream instead of getting in the right boat and learning to trust and let go of the paddles and just flow and just go? And so I started with the side hustle and I scaled back. I stopped overgiving. I stopped people pleasing. And I got
learning how to say no is so important.
Yeah. And I just said no to things that were no longer in alignment. I said no to things that were holding me back, that were causing energetic blocks, that were amplifying my limiting beliefs instead of an abundant mindset. And I went for it. And the first thing I did was I started hosting workshops and retreats for people to understand emotional intelligence, for people to get really clear on how it is that they wanted to feel and understand that everything that we are seeking outside of ourselves is actually attached to a feeling. So instead of focusing on things outside of ourselves, what if we flip that switch and we focused on the feelings first? And it was so profound. I had nothing. I didn't have a website. I started with an email. I think Facebook events and eventually Eventbrite is how I called people in. I was very fortunate. I lived in a community where I was very well known because of my job. I worked with 100 to 150 children per year, plus 100 to 150 volunteers per year. Plus I had community partnerships with every major player in the community when it came to funders, when it came to the other nonprofits, when it came to the district. And so I was very well known. So I was fortunate in that way that there were people in the community that already had seen the magic that I had created for their children. And at the end of the program, a lot of the moms would say, gee, I wish that I had something like this growing up, or I'm learning so much from my daughter. I wish she would do something like this for me. So I did. I started gathering people in a park. I invited them to bring a blanket. I put crystals and candles all over the woods. And I started with the simple question of how do you want to feel, and what was it like expressing your feelings as a child? And we would talk for 2 to 3 hours about how we were all emotionally stunted and how we all completely lacked emotional intelligence.
Yeah. And that's, there's so many things that you just said there that we have similar paths when it comes to the corporate world and not being our own individual. Yes, I do work for an organization. I am serving my community. It is a struggle sometimes because I am a creator. And I'm in the education department, which helps a lot. So I can use my creation, all of my tools as a respiratory therapist, as a paramedic, as a sales rep, from medical supplies and medical devices. I've had a very strong medical background for the 27 years, right? And the one time I did go away from the clinical aspect of it, I got into the corporate world, and there was sabotage. There was backdoor stuff. I had people listening to my conversations and reporting back to my mentor, and then she would confront me, and I'm like, you only heard one side of the communication. Yeah. Like, they just asked me who I was compared to you, and the words they used, I just repeated that back to them like any good conversation. And because I used the word answer to and didn't answer to you, that I answered to Fred. No, I'm like, do I need to be remote? She was remote. And I'm like, do I need to be remote because you've got people spying on me? And she's like, well, that's a little ridiculous. I'm like, actually, what you're doing is a little ridiculous, So, and it just spiraled from there. And I know what chest pain is now. I know what anxiety is now because of that job. Yeah. And as soon as I made the decision to go back to be a clinical person, and then because my clinical path is I get time off where I can be myself. Yeah. And I can be myself at work. I've got a great crew. I can be myself. I can be goofy. I can sing. I can make my voices. I can just be me there, right? And we go to a patient's house and we deal with that stuff. Boom. Then I'm back into business mode, right? Yeah. But one of the things there that I had a mentor, and that was kind of a long roundabout way to get back to the emotional intelligence part. And she sat me down and she's like, Kyle, you need to work on your emotional intelligence. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, I'm just a stupid dude. I had no clue what that meant. And she sat me down and she kind of taught me a little bit about that and why it was so important. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I've got the greatest emotional intelligence. I'm a lot more wrapped around it than I used to be, So when it comes to the numerology and that emotional intelligence, how do you blend that when it comes to business, like when you help business people out?
Incredible question. So when I was guiding people through the process of understanding their goals, and for me, goals now is an acronym for Get Open About Living Soulfully. When I was guiding them to understand that goal that they had and the feeling, that root feeling that's the driving force behind it, that's a vibration, that's a frequency. So really what we're doing when we're setting a goal is we're tapping into the law of manifestation, or the law of attraction, rather. But what we don't understand is the law that comes before the law of attraction is the law of vibration. And the emotional intelligence piece is the vibration, is the frequency, is the energetics. So when I was taking people through this process, it was taking quite a lot of time to really get clear and confident to embody and embrace this heart compass. There was a lot of hesitation to say it's abundance. Abundance is what it is that I want to feel, or freedom, or joy, or love. And then once those declarations were made, then all of these limiting beliefs would show up. All of these energetic blocks would show up, right? And again,
I just wrote down limiting beliefs. I literally just wrote that down because I'm like, she's going to limiting beliefs and I'm going to ask her about it. And I'm like, wrote it down.
So people would eventually get clear on this, and then inviting them to take inspired action on it was that piece that would actually connect them to the success. So I loved this process, but truthfully, I didn't like how long the process would take. When numerology came on board, I can immediately tap into somebody's values, somebody's emotional intelligence, their heart conscious leadership style. And so rather than have this long drawn out 3-month process of how is it that you want to feel? What is your heart compass? What are we going to do in order to support you to feel that way? I can look at somebody's energetic code with them just by knowing their birthday and say, well, if you have a lot of 2 energy in your birthday, you are somebody that values community and partnerships and collaborations.
Probably got a lot of 2 in me.
And so what are the feelings that are associated with that, right?
Right.
For me, it's a 3. And I owned that abundance is a part of my energetic code. Every single goal that I am setting to get open about living soulfully is connected to abundance. And the reason for that is because the more I have, the more I can give. The more I have, the easier it is for me to tap into my own creativity. And creativity is what keeps that cycle of reciprocity happening in my business and in my life. I'm an extremely generous person. There have been times in my life where I have given things that I didn't even have. Right?
I'm
you
in the middle of that
understand
right now.
Yes. And so that was one of the biggest pieces in terms of numerology, was really understanding somebody's energetic code and getting really clear on their own emotional intelligence, who they are as a heart conscious leader. More importantly as well, who their soulmate clients are. I can see that through somebody's energetic code, who their soulmate clients are, what problems they have, and how we solve them just simply by being who it is that we are. And numerology goes even deeper, and we can forecast, we can look at the energy that's coming through for us, and we can strategically plan to co-collaborate with the universe. So for example, this is going to blow everybody's mind. It blew my mind, but numerology is hidden in a deck of cards. Every single day is coded an energy, and there's just layers upon layers upon layers. For example, my theme for this year is a 5 of hearts. 5 represents change and freedom. And it's just such a risk taker. And when it's connected to the heart's energy, it means relationships are my top focus. So what relationships am I going to change this year? In business, I'm looking at my soulmate clients. Am I niching down, or am I ready to expand and offer more services to a variety of different soulmate clients, for example? In my personal relationships, yes, there's been some people that I have walked away from with love, always with love and kindness. And there's other people that I've invited for us to have a deeper, more meaningful connection by having discussions about our values and what's important to each of us, and how do we appreciate each other, and how do we consciously give to each other and also receive in the relationship.
You just remind me of the episode of Friends when Joey's like, we're going to give and receive and give
Yeah.
and love and give and
Yeah.
receive while loving and receiving.
Yeah.
If you're a Friends fan, but I'm a big Friends fan. So,
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm writing notes. Anytime you see the top of my dome and it shines back at you, I'm writing notes because I have been looking forward to this conversation since the day we met and I found out what you do. And I mentioned this in that first episode, the first time we talked in that meeting, that 15-minute, 2-hour meeting, that I said, oh, okay, you do something like, now don't offend them out there, because I know it's a little different now because you set me straight off on a private call. But I was blown away by human design. My birthday, the time of birth, my city of birth, and I was blown away by what the people that are human designers can tell me about myself. And is there correlation? I mean, do you know human design as well, or is numerology like another level of human design where people are trying to get to, or are they parallel? Like, what is your, I mean, without, like I said, I've had a couple of human design people on my podcast, so let's respect their, I don't know what your solid beliefs are, but can you share a little bit about the difference between the two? So if someone watches the human design and understands it and accepts it and wants to, find out what their own, and then also know numerology, and maybe they should explore that as well. Or is there a combination?
Okay. So I have done corporate team building for many years, and I have literally done every personality test under the sun. And what I can say is that each time we do something like this, we are gathering a puzzle piece. Some of them are going to fit, and other times they don't. And other times it's just not the right time to put that puzzle piece into place. When numerology came into my world, one of the reasons why I adopted it versus something like human design is because it's 10,000 plus years old. It's ancient. It's literally rooted in mathematics and science, is proven over and over and over again. If you're somebody that believes in past lives, I am definitely somebody who has been involved utilizing numerology in many past lives. Just look at this lifetime. We have worked with numbers since we were babies. When you think about it, we start teaching our children how to count at what age, right? So it's something that comes naturally to all of us. Whereas other modalities, such as human design, for example, for me, when I read that I was a generator, it did not resonate with me.
Okay.
To also be told, well, you're here to respond. Like, fuck that. No, I'm not. I am here to create. I am here to create. That's what happens first. And I do recognize that in that creation, in that energy that I send out, that it is my responsibility to choose what to respond to. So there's some validity to it. I'm not saying that there isn't. For me, it's not something that resonates. It came on board in 1970. It hasn't had that longevity like something like numerology. And it's very complicated. There's a lot of different, it's complicated versus the simplicity.
Well, and
of
we
numerology.
actually, and part of it too, like the guest that I had on about it, she had mentioned she's very skeptical of the time of birth if it's a round number. Because were you really born? And then my question was, the time of birth is a very important aspect, and there's things to find out your time of birth and stuff like that, I guess, in the universe and in technology or what have you, not just your birth certificate. But then me being a paramedic and have just delivered my first baby 2 months ago, whoop whoop.
Nice.
What is birth? Is it blood flow? Is it breath? Is it head out of the canal? Is it feet out of the canal? Like, what is the time of birth? Is it the start? Is it after they cut the cord, when when all your heart kind of closes up and the mother's no longer supplying? So and that was like, oh, I don't know. There is discussion there. So numerology seems to be a little bit more straightforward, instead of relying on a time that does also say part of that time is part of the accuracy of it. So just something that came up there. So
when I look at manifesting generator, that for me, that resonates a lot more than generator. And for the other coaches and people that I work with in the entrepreneurial world, when they ask me what I'm coded and I say generator, they're shocked. They're like, I thought for sure you were a manifesting generator. So I can see some of the like glitches in the system. With the clients that I work with that understand human design as well, if they're speaking to me in human design, I respond in numerology, and I basically I'm just translated. Well, I'm mirroring to them what it is that they're saying. I'm like, what you're talking about is you as a ruling number 5. And they're like, oh, right. Yeah. And I see that.
And I
ding,
noticed
ding,
that
ding.
too.
Yeah.
Some of the things that you discussed when we were on our first call, and even with Michael, when we brought Michael on that call, that was one of those things where some of the things you were telling him about him and some of the things you shared with me, it was just like, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see where they line up. So that's pretty interesting. I'm glad you dove a little bit deeper into that. I want to get back to something else. I triple started here. So I'm wondering if you'd do something for me. So can you have a little baby coaching session? Are you willing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I struggle with limited beliefs. Remember when I lit up earlier about limiting beliefs? I'm generally a positive person. Okay. Generally I'm a positive person, and I look at I'm the glass half full guy, right? Yep. But when it comes to other things that are not coming so easily in my life, I start to doubt, and my limiting beliefs start to creep up. I had some strong limiting beliefs when I became a voiceover actor. I got over those. I had a strong limiting belief when I started my mental health resilience program. There's some limiting beliefs that keep on trying to crawl their way up with my new path of the ignition path and podcast, system coaching with people. And I triple starred the word vibration because I felt that you mentioned vibration has to be right for the limiting beliefs to be lifted. I think that's how I understood it. So when it comes to limiting, and I'm getting chills talking about this, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm an open book. I'm an emotional guy. I cry at movies. I probably start crying in a couple minutes, but just if I'm really deeply talking about myself or my friends or my family. But when it comes to the limiting beliefs, is there anything you can share with us, maybe through me, about my personal situation where my vibration maybe, and I've been told before this, I've talked to other people that are manifestors, and they're like, Kyle, you're blocked. And I just don't get it. I'm like, I'm not blocked. I'm happy. I'm a happy guy, I feel happy, So when it comes to those limiting, I think that's one part of my life and my career and my business that I am stumped on, and I don't know how to release those limiting beliefs to get my vibration to a limit where I can then wholeheartedly manifest what I want.
It's a great question. And I think what's important to understand is that we all have limiting beliefs. We all have energetic blocks. It doesn't matter what your numerology blueprint is. For all of us, we came here to Earth School. We came here to this dense, low vibrational planet to remember who it is that we are. And in order for us to remember who we are, we have forgotten. And we always become who we are not, I believe, until we really embrace and embody who it is that we are. So everybody has limiting beliefs. And I also want to say that it's always temporary. This too shall pass. It's not forever.
That's good.
It is possible. It is possible. And in fact, in order for you to, and you've already touched on this, in order for you to manifest what it is that you desire, it's imperative for you to tap into that higher level vibration. It's imperative for you to really understand that feeling and create that feeling in your life on a regular basis in order for that you want to call into existence to come into fruition. Okay, remind me what your birthday is again.
March 20th, 1972. 3/20/72. 9:50 in the morning.
Oh yeah, we talked about this because you were like, I feel like I have a lot of twos. I'm like, yes, you do. Two.
I said that, or you mentioned something about two earlier, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a two.
Yeah. Okay, just let me crunch the numbers here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm mapping out Kyle's birthday on a tic-tac-toe grid. So I'll share it on the screen. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Perfect. Right
okay.
Yep.
So before even looking at your ruling number, looking at what you're coded to, I immediately go to this tic-tac-toe grid because it shows me your energy, how you manage it, and how you operate. The first thing I see is you have 1, 2, 3 in your chart. 1, 2, 3 is the arrow of the planner. If you do not have a plan, it won't work.
Is that even like, real quick, so we don't lose that thought, even if that's a mental plan, like I planned it in my head, is that sufficient, or does it have to be written?
Whatever works for you. Everybody has different styles.
I do both.
Yeah.
I do both. If I've got a lot of stuff to do before I go on vacation, my plan is I make a list and I cross them out.
Yeah.
But like today, I went and I looked at the job site that I was on, and I'm like, okay, what's my plan today? And I went and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. And I planned it all out. And then I went boom, 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 boom. And I hit it all. And I got done to get back here to record with you.
If you have a plan, you are connected to abundance, because then you can see that you have enough time to do what it is that you want to do. And what's also very important for you is communicating your plan to whoever it is that you're working with and to your family members as well. When other people make a plan and they don't include you in the planning process, that causes anxiety for you, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You don't trust it.
So I mentioned earlier before we got on the phone, and like I said, I don't care. I'm an open book. My wife and I have been having some, not strong difficulties, but I have not shared with her my new path that I started a month and a half ago, and it's a little bit of a shift, and I haven't fully explained it to her. I started to when she was like, "Hey, listen, there's something going on with us, and I don't know what it is, and I don't like it," and I'm like, "Oh." And so I was like, okay, maybe I should tell her a little bit of what I'm doing, because typically she doesn't really per se care, because she's not anywhere close to being any form of entrepreneur whatsoever. Like zero entrepreneurism in her that I know of, that I've ever seen in 30 years. And I'm flowing with entrepreneurship, right? I'm always thinking about what is the next thing I can help myself or help other people do and get through it. So, and that's why I started Ignition Path podcast, is because I want to learn from other entrepreneurs as well as them learn from me, because I've been an entrepreneur since I was old enough to push a lawnmower, right? And I've done many things as an entrepreneur, even inside of business. When I managed my own sales territory, I was still an entrepreneur then, because I created pathways for me to get into different departments and hospitals and to show my products, right? So I was entrepreneurial. So to share that information with my wife and my family members and my business associates, I think I do it more with my business associates because we're like-minded. So I'm like, oh, look, this is my plan. So I'm already doing it. I think I know I've already told you my path, my plan with you, with the new podcast and the business. You know it, right? I've already shared it with you. It's way more than I've ever shared with my wife so far. And that's maybe where a little bit of blockage is I'm not sharing it with the right people. Even if they don't care, it's just like, at least I shared it.
Yeah. For you, harmony. So you're ruling number 6. Harmony is one of your top values. Peace is one of your top values. Balance is one of your top values. As a ruling number 6, you can have a tendency to avoid conflict sometimes too. Oh, yeah. I mean, who likes conflict? I
mean, I'll bring it on. I mean, sometimes I thrive on conflict because I'm ADHD and that feeds that part of me. But I've been trying to not like rule my life on conflict anymore, like I used to.
Well, it's because you are a great debater. You love having deep intellectual conversations. So
are you saying a master debater?
That's
sorry. This is definitely not a PG show. We've already dropped an F-bomb, and I just talked about master. No, I'm just kidding.
But your personal day is 2 as well. So let's bring it back to like emotional intelligence, energetics, frequency, vibrations. So harmony. Let's just hone in on harmony. Born on the 20th to connection, harmony and connections. So if you aren't sharing your desires, if you are not sharing your vision with the people that you love, it's causing disharmony and there's a disconnect. See how that's causing an energetic block? You have to ask yourself, why are you hesitant to share it with the people that you love? Is it because you're worried that they won't support you? Are you worried that they'll disagree with your plan? Are you worried that they're going to tell you what to do and encourage you to change the plan that you've already created? There's many reasons why. The
first two are dead on.
Yeah.
I worry about because I've done so many things in my life. I've actually been told, and if my wife ever listens to this, I'll just apologize up front. But I've been told, So this is what you're going to do this time.
Mm.
You know, when I became a voiceover actor, oh, so you're going to become a voiceover actor. We'll see how long that lasts. Well, I'm 6 years in now. So that was by spite. I'm like, I am not giving up on this.
Yeah. So to me, it sounds like a lot of your limiting beliefs, and this is for many of us, it comes from outside of ourselves. These are things that other people have told us that subconsciously or consciously we're holding on to, and it's creating that energetic block.
Wow. Okay.
I was told when I was 18 years old, I'll never amount to anything unless I get a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until I went back to school for university, I took one class. It was in community development. I think it was the second class. I remember sitting in that room going, what am I doing here?
What am I doing? Right.
I am surrounded by 18, 19-year-olds who don't give a shit about their education. They don't care about this class like I do. And everything that she's talked about so far, I already do this and get paid for it. So why am I here? Why am I here? And driving home, it was an hour and a half one way that I was driving to get to this class. I kept asking myself, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? And the vision of sitting at a lunch and that person telling me that I'll never amount to anything unless I get a degree, the vision of that experience came in. I'm like, why am I thinking about that lunch when I was 18 years old? I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this because I don't think that I am worthy or good enough because I don't have a degree. And that's a load of crap. I've helped people build multiple six figure, and help people cross 7 figures. I am worthy. I am capable. I am more than all of that. I don't need this piece of paper to tell me that. So there's limiting beliefs that we create for ourselves, but often it's limiting beliefs that other people have told us about ourselves that we've adopted. So that's why I love numerology, because we look at somebody's blueprint and we say, well, that's a crock of shit, because it says right here that you're amazing at connection. You're amazing as a ruling number 6 at making things pretty. Design is so important to you. So everything that you do, I mean, that's why your podcast and how you set your podcast up, not only do you have a plan, but, and I'm going to call Kyle out before this call. He's like, just a second. I just want to check my background. I want to make sure I'm not washed out. I want to make sure my forehead looks great. And I'm like, he's going to have 6 in his energy because, and when I go on Zoom calls, I'm always like, whenever they have a beautiful space, I'm like looking in their background.
Yeah, I love your background. I can't wait to do a better background than a green screen.
But that's the energy of a 6. And again, when you have a plan, the other thing I'm going to point out, you have something called the arrow of frustration, which I do as well. I have the arrow of the planner. I have the arrow of frustration. This literally means that you are coded to be a people pleaser, to say yes to a lot of things that you really want to say no to. And it's very simple. Just stop doing things that don't support you feeling harmonious and connected.
But that's so hard.
But it's not.
I don't want to disappoint anybody.
Because what we stop doing is more important, actually, than what we start doing. We can't possibly start a business or build a business if we keep doing all the things that we've been doing. It's impossible. You will not be successful. It will not be sustainable. You will just tap into those old cycles when you were in a corporate gig of stress and burnout and overwhelm, because you'll start running your business like it's a job, and it's not a job. It's a business. It's very different. Yeah. Did that help?
Well, speaking of business, 100%. I mean, it definitely helped. Probably a lot of people saw the shininess on my top of my head through my hair on this one, because I was frivolously taking notes on that. And I'm going to be, I often watch, I'll edit this, and then once it goes live, I listen to it as a consumer. And I always get more, because there's so many things that I'm dealing with on the production side of things. Sometimes I don't catch everything. And so I will be listening to this episode again, 1000%, probably, tomorrow or later tonight, even after I'm done editing it. So when it comes to, you mentioned business business, a great segue for this last part here. So tell us about your business and what you're doing with the numerology and how you're helping businesses. Share with us exactly how to get a hold of you and what you are doing with small businesses and entrepreneurs to make sure that we get that information, because I mean, just a 10-minute conversation already with you inside of this, you've already helped my business, because I'm like, okay, I got to start sharing something, like I've never told my daughter about any of this. I've sprinkled a little bit with my son, just a little bit. He's techie. I'm like, he would totally love seeing what I've showed you before. You know what I mean? Like he'd get into that. Like he could be my VA, you know what I mean? So I've got to share it with him, and I just got to be open and honest with, I'm not trying to, I try to make sure with my wife that I don't overwhelm her and what she's got going on in her life with what I'm doing, because I want to, so I think I could preface that by like, listen, I need to just let you know what I'm doing. You can take with it what you will. You can just sit there and listen and smile and nod and not hear any of it. I don't care, but I need to get it out, because I need you to at least have some idea of why this is important to me and why I have been really diving, because I'm one of those people that I'm a hyper focuser. And I've been hyper focused for over 30 days on podcast coaching building. And it's, and she sees it, and she says, you're acting a lot like you did when you worked at Sarnova, which was that corporate job. And I'm like, oh shit, I better fix something. So I'm glad we had this conversation.
I do want to add, because it will support you and it'll support all of your listeners as well, that yes, it's important to share our dreams, especially with the people that we love, but even more important, we have to guide them to how they can best support us. It's one thing to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is my plan. The next step in that, though, is inviting them along for the ride with you and asking them what role they can play. So inviting them to be involved, and then also open the door for that conscious conversation of their fears, what they're afraid of, what they have the capacity for and what they don't have the capacity for. Because it takes a lot. It takes a toll on us as entrepreneurs, but it does on our partners as well. So this is one of the things that comes up all the time. Yes, I support people in their business, but almost every single coaching call, hey, just checking in, what's going on? Oh, I got into a fight with my husband this morning. It's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about my business, but man, oh man, I'm just like fuming. I'm like, okay, well, let's unpack that for 10 to 15 minutes, because if our relationships aren't flowing in our personal life, it's going to create an energetic block in our business. That's a vibration
and energy. Yeah. And we're all energy beings. You and I are both breathing and have a pulse. So we have energy inside of us. And I get that. And I understand that and accept it. So.
My previous partner,
go ahead and
my previous partner said, I just love that you've started this business, and I totally believe in you. But when are you going to start making money? Those don't work. Yeah. He's no longer my partner. Right. And the new partner is, I'm so proud of you, and I have full faith that you will make this successful. That's it. Yeah. End of story. So what I do with people in a nutshell is I support them to align with their purpose, amplify their gifts, and activate the divine prosperity that is their birthright. I work with people at all stages of their business, beginning, middle, near the end. It's all about sustainability, and more important, it's about sustainability for abundance, a massive amount of abundance, because again, the more we have, the more we can give. And I love supporting people through their business and helping them understand the frequency and the vibration, the energetics with the strategy, because that's what ensures that we are not operating from a place of stress and burnout and overwhelm, that we are not going into those old models of constantly being in the masculine energy all the time and expecting to build a business. We don't need to work as hard. Yes, entrepreneurship is hard. It is, but it gets to be easy as well. We get to tap into momentum, and we do get to tap into ease. And most importantly, we get to tap into that joy, abundance, and freedom, like that reason, that intention that we started this business in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do.
That's awesome.
I have a variety of different offers. Most people come into my world first in something called the Conscious Business Collective. So we gather once a month and we tap into the universal energy. So we really just understand what's happening in the collective, and we make the connection in terms of what can we do in our business in order to align with this energy to support our soulmate clients. So for an example, this month is May, but it's a 4 energy month. 4 energy is about stability, systems, structures, organization, calling in the resources. So we focus on that in our business, but we also guide our soulmate clients through stability, security, safety, systems, organization. Doesn't matter what problem it is that you're solving, the focus is that. So we build out those strategic plans. It's just a beautiful community of entrepreneurs from all over the world. And I have lots of different offerings in between to authentically attract soulmate clients and to understand the skill of strategic planning and building a conscious business. And you can find all of that information at AnnMarieMcKinsey.com, as well as some free resources to get you started on understanding numerology and building a conscious business that you love.
Awesome. And now that stuff will be, of course, in the show notes and below in the description for YouTubers and in the show notes for the Apples and the Spotifyers. So fantastic. And you sent all that stuff to me earlier. I'm going to get that on there as well. Thank you so much, AnnMarie. I have gotten so much out of this. I know for a fact that we could talk for hours.
We could.
Because yeah. I have, and right now today is about you and highlighting your superpowers and showing everybody about that. But, and I have my own that I know I can help you with things. And we've already discussed some of that stuff too. And I can't wait to further our relationship in that business manner. And like I said at the beginning of the show, it wasn't very long before I realized that you were somebody I needed to meet in my life. And I hope you feel the same.
You too. I do.
And if not, I'm going to get you there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I really appreciate you and all of those igniters out there. That's what I'm going to call our listeners, are their igniters, and they're following their ignition path. I hope you got something out of this today. If any of this resonated with you, don't hesitate to reach out to AnnMarie, myself. Find us, of course, on our Facebook pages, our LinkedIn's. We're all over the place. Both of us are everywhere, and Google us. Well, you'll find us. So get a hold of us. Get a hold of AnnMarie when it comes to your business and it's struggling, and how numerology can help that. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe on YouTube. And if you hear anything that a friend of yours or someone that needs to hear, don't hesitate to kick this over to them and share it with them. That's how we want the ignition path to grow, is organically like that. And a friend of a friend telling something about something cool they heard is the best way to tap into anything. So, AnnMarie, thank you so much for coming on the Ignition Path podcast. And I cannot wait to work with you more.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Ignition Path, fueling the entrepreneurial fire.